Suffering is perhaps the most universal human experience. No one escapes it, yet no one fully understands it. From physical pain to emotional heartbreak, from existential dread to the quiet gnawing of regret, suffering shapes our lives. It can crush, paralyze, or transform us. But what is its true nature? Is it punishment, a teacher, an illusion, or something more profound? Pain first appears as an undeniable signal. It alerts us to danger, illness, or injury. Physical suffering is simple to understand. Touch a flame, feel the burn, but emotional suffering is far more intricate. The mind magnifies, distorts, and amplifies feelings of loss, fear, and despair. Unlike a fire on your hand, emotional pain can linger for years, shaping personality and decisions in unseen ways. Some philosophies suggest suffering is a teacher. Buddha called it dukkha, pervasive dissatisfaction that drives awareness. Life, in this view, is a classroom, and suffering is the lesson plan. Heartbreak teaches empathy. Failure teaches resilience. Illness teaches humility. In this sense, suffering is not a curse, but a guide, a necessary force shaping growth. Yet suffering can also be a trap. The mind clings to pain, replaying memories, fueling resentment, or wallowing in despair. Addiction, obsession, and anxiety often emerge not from external circumstances, but from the mind's refusal to release suffering. Pain then becomes a prison, a cycle where the more we resist, the more we endure. The illusionary nature of suffering is another perspective. Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, argue that suffering does not exist inherently in events themselves, but in our judgment of them. A loss, a betrayal, a setback, these are neutral occurrences. The pain arises in how we interpret them. Awareness of this can allow the mind to step outside suffering, to observe without succumbing. Suffering also carries a duality. It can destroy and create simultaneously. The deepest sorrow often unlocks the capacity for profound insight. Artists, mystics, and philosophers throughout history attest that suffering deepened their perception of life, revealed hidden truths, and connected them to the broader human experience. Pain, in this sense, is a doorway. Psychologically, suffering is tied to attachment. Desire, expectation, and fear of loss all breed inner tension. When reality conflicts with our expectations, suffering emerges. By examining these attachments, one can begin to understand why suffering arises and how it perpetuates. This self-awareness can be the first step toward liberation. Some forms of suffering are physical and unavoidable. Yet even here, perception shapes experience. The same wound can cause agony for one person and stoic endurance for another. Cultural, personal, and mental frameworks determine how pain is processed. The mind is both amplifier and moderator of suffering. Spiritual traditions suggest suffering may be an essential element of consciousness. Without pain, joy has no contrast. Without struggle, growth has no context. Life's complexity requires the presence of suffering to create meaning. Pain, then, is a tool for consciousness to evolve, a natural law woven into existence itself. Yet not all suffering is necessary. Much of human misery arises from illusion, false narratives, expectations, and beliefs. Guilt for things we cannot change, fear of events that may never happen, grief over imagined losses. The mind manufactures suffering, often more relentless than reality itself. Recognizing this illusion is a skill few master. Suffering also teaches empathy. Experiencing pain allows humans to recognize it in others, to connect deeply across time and culture. Compassion is born from understanding the universality of suffering. This is why those who endure often possess wisdom that transcends intellect. They have felt life's extremes and returned transformed. The temporality of suffering is another critical lesson. Pain may feel eternal, yet it fluctuates, waxes, and wanes. Awareness of impermanence can lessen the grip of suffering. Nothing is fixed, and no emotion, no agony, persists forever. This perspective does not deny pain, but reframes it within the rhythm of life. Modern neuroscience shows that suffering changes the brain. Neural pathways strengthen patterns of fear, anxiety, or despair, but also resilience, compassion, and problem-solving. Suffering physically imprints on consciousness. In this sense, pain is both a challenge and a sculptor, shaping not only experience, but the very mind experiencing it. Some thinkers argue that suffering is a bridge to transcendence. By confronting pain directly, by fully feeling it, humans can access states of awareness that remain hidden in comfort. Extreme suffering can dissolve ego, disrupt illusion, and reveal the impermanent, interconnected nature of existence. Pain becomes a doorway to insight. Ultimately, the nature of suffering is multifaceted. It is teacher, trap, and illusion. It is a signal, a mirror, and a doorway. To live fully is to encounter suffering with awareness, to understand its messages, to release what is unnecessary, and to transform what can become wisdom. In embracing suffering rather than avoiding it, life reveals its deepest truths. Suffering is a companion in the human journey, an inescapable yet instructive presence. Its meaning is not fixed, but discovered through reflection, courage, and consciousness. To face suffering is to face life itself. And perhaps in this confrontation, the soul discovers its own capacity to endure, to learn, and ultimately to transcend.